And welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about and spotlight my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And welcome to day 3. 1, 2, 3. Found footage week, and I had to hunt like hell to get this movie. I ended up buying the European release of Jeruzalem. Now, Jeruzalem is a zombie found footage film. Also paranormal exorcist type, religion type. Yeah, it's a mash up. But yeah, I had to hunt everywhere for this thing. I got the British version because it was either unfindable for the Americas or it was too outrageous. Yes, it was probably cheaper to buy the British version all the way from England rather than, the American version. So yes, this is Jeruzalem. Now, Jeruzalem was released in 2015. And it was from the Paz brothers, Doron and Yoav Paz. They both wrote and directed it. It stars, and this is going to be fun, it stars Yael Grobglas, Yon Tumarkin, and Danielle Jadelyn. Well, at least her name was acceptable. But yeah, so this is a found footage film from 2015, Jeruzalem. Now, this movie opens with an intro from like the Vatican. It's a film from, and you hear the over narration of a researcher who is watching it, and you're seeing this archival footage from 1972 of these 3 different sects, like Christian, Jew, I think even Muslim, whatever, and they were together in Jerusalem, and it was something about they had a little kid, his mother had died, and 3 days later she came back as this zombie and type thing, and they had her, and they had spent days like trying to exorcise her and fix her, and they couldn't never do it, and they ended up like shooting her in the head, like executing her. And she was this real cool zombie looking thing with the wings like that, like a fucking gargoyle zombie. And yeah, so we see that footage of these priests that capture this demon zombie thing and execute it. Now we flash forward to the present where we're introduced to Sarah. Sarah is receiving a gift from her dad, which is smart glasses. Google glasses, whatever those things are, they're smart glasses. It's a pair of glasses, but like, you can do the internet and all while you're wearing the glasses. So this entire movie is from that. So, yeah, you have the archival footage, and then the whole rest of the movie is through the eyes of these glasses, which I thought was really interesting, really unique. It did not make me nauseous. It did not make me sick, although there were a couple of times when it was a little too busy. A little thing about found footage. I love the found footage genre, but, well, let's just put it this way. Cloverfield made me insanely sick. I literally, for real, vomited while trying to watch Cloverfield. I have vertigo and a balance issue and a sinus problem, so I don't like heights, and I don't, everybody's got their medical issues. Mine is that I have very bad vertigo, very bad balance issues, inner ear issues. And so you can fuck me up with shaky cam. So they did this very well, though. There were only a few scenes where I was like, let me minimize the screen because it's too much. But 95% of it was pretty steady. Pretty steady. So it was good. So Sarah is receiving these these smart glasses, and that's very neat. I've heard of them, but I've never seen them, so that was very neat. So she's testing them out, and we discovered that, number one, she had a brother who had died a year before. She was graduating and was going with her best friend Rachel on a trip to Tel Aviv in Israel. So that's what's going on. So they're all packing up and going for this graduation holiday. They're going to go to Tel Aviv and have some fun. On the plane, they meet Kevin. Now, Kevin is really, really cute, and he's really cool, and they feel safe with him enough to, when they get off the plane, he invites them to, instead of going to Tel Aviv, to come with him to Jerusalem, because he's an expert, and he can show them around and stuff. And Yom Kippur, is fixing to happen. So they agree, she calls her dad, tells him, and they agree to change their plans and go instead to Jerusalem. I would never want to go to Jerusalem, but I would love to go to Tel Aviv. So yeah, it's just a little personal side note. But yeah, so they decide to, yes, we'll go to Jerusalem with you. So they go to Jerusalem instead. And it's 2 days or 1 day before Yom Kippur. So he shows them around. He takes them to his friend, where he likes to stay, at a hostel owned by Omar. So all four of them hit it off really well, and they get to know each other, and they're kind of partying. They do hash on the rooftops and stuff like that. They end up going out to a nightclub. On the way, however, Sarah's bag is snatched. She, what do they call it? Mugged. She gets hit by a mugger, and her purse is snatched. So she loses her bag with her regular glasses in it. Now, her smart glasses are fit to her prescription. Her dad, special ordered them. So they work, but so she lost her wallet, her regular glasses. That's how we get this entire movie is filmed through these smart glasses. So they go to the club. They have a lot of fun at the club. They keep running into the street guy who keeps warning them, that the dead will walk on Yom Kippur, and they need to get the hell out of the city, but they ignore it. Of course. We always ignore warnings, don't we? So she's having a lot of fun. She even starts to make out with Kevin in the bathroom, but and he had put her glasses, the smart glasses, on, and he's kind of playing with it, and he's looking through her photo album from her Facebook. And he runs across what he does not know is her brother and her. And so while she's fixing to do something naughty to him down there, let's just say that she's in a kneeling position. He starts talking about who is this dipshit with a beanie on, and he looks like a douche and stuff like that. That's her fucking brother. You really should keep your mouth shut in a situation like that if you don't know what you're talking about, right? Needless to say, that did not make her very happy. So she got up and she's like, fuck you, I'm leaving. So she tries to make it back to the hostel by herself because Rachel's with Omar. and a lot of really scary shit happens, like creepy shit. She goes back. He eventually finds her, though. She gets lost, of course. And he eventually finds her, like, I'm sorry, whatever I didn't know. I should have kept my mouth shut. He takes her back to the hostel where I wrote, they sex. I don't know why I can't, like, really describe it any other way, but that's the way, you'll hear that in a lot of my videos. I just go, and they sexed. They sex. So they go back to their room and they sex. So there you go. They do sex. It's at this point that we learn that, that 72 footage that we saw at the beginning of the movie, he's the researcher that we were hearing talk about it. Right. So he starts telling her about it, and he even shows her the 72 vid, of that thing, and she's like, do you believe this shit, And he tells her, yes, that he does believe it, that he believes that every certain amount of time, like 30 years, I can't remember, 27 years, 30 years, sort of like Jeepers Creepers, right? That every certain period of time that the dead rise, and he believes that it's coming soon, but, she's like, just chill out about all that. Let's have fun. She goes back to her room, and the next day comes. And Omar and Kevin take them all around sightseeing again. We get to see. Now, this was all filmed in Jerusalem with the permission of, the government there. So, which is pretty cool, because all of the stuff that you see is real. It's real. They go to the Wailing Wall. They go to the De La Rosa Cathedral, whatever. They visit the tourist places, so you actually get to see what a tourist would see through the eyes of smart glasses. So you're like first person, right? So they go to the Wailing Wall, which was a pretty cool scene because Rachel's like, I know we don't believe in this, but do it anyway, Because at the Wailing Wall, you write your wish on a piece of paper and prayer, and you put it in the wall. So she's like, all right, fine. And she wrote, please bring back my brother, you asshole. Which, little bitter there, but I totally understand. And so that's the message that she puts on the paper and sticks it in a crack in the wall. And that comes back later, as you can imagine. So they all go sightseeing the Wailing Wall. Sarah asks for her brother back. They go into this like underground excavation, like archaeological dig, where Kevin has like this massive panic attack when he sees like archaeological inscriptions on the wall of those zombie with wing demons. And so he leaves. She goes out with him. They go back to the hostel. Now Sarah's kind of getting freaked out, especially after his panic attack, and she wants to leave. So Rachel does agree to leave tomorrow because they can't really leave right now because Yom Kippur is fisting up again. The whole fucking city is like locked down, and you can't get, all the tourists are coming and going, and it would be damn near impossible to get out. So she's like, we'll leave, when the next day. So we'll leave tomorrow. So all of a sudden, Kevin busts in, screaming about how they have to leave right now, that he just figured something out. That shit was fixing to go down. They had to go now, right? So this scares the hell out of them. And then Omar and I think it's his dad, but Omar comes in and they're like, thinking he's having a mental breakdown. Now, during that shopping trip, or during the sightseeing trip, they saw a mental institution very close to the hostel where they live, and they asked them what was this, and it was like, it's a mental institution where we put people who have Jerusalem syndrome, which I didn't know about that. But it seems like that people that are like really religious, like seriously religious, they can, if they go to Jerusalem, they, with, it's just overwhelming to them and their religious beliefs, and they kind of go a little psychotic. And that's what Omar and his dad think is happening to Kevin. So they take him away, and they take him away to that hospital because of the way he's freaking out. All of a sudden, very soon after that, actually, the city goes on lockdown when these 2 jets fly over and these bombs go off and stuff like that. So they think it's like a terrorist attack. And the city is like going on lockdown and closing down, and everybody's getting scared. A couple of soldiers come in that they had seen earlier on the street. So they kind of become a little part of the group. We get to see our first, so they're going to try to get to one of the gates to get out of Jerusalem. Sarah refuses to go, though, because she's like, we've got to stop by and get Kevin. We can't leave him here in this kind of danger with this stuff going on. So she convinces them to do that. The 2 soldiers go in with her, but shit's going down. You know what I mean? Shit's going down. And we see one of the first winged, besides that 72 footage, we get to see our first one in real life, And they're cool-looking zombies, demon. They're like a cross between a zombie and a demon. But they are zombies. They're the dead that has risen. So, bunch of crap goes on. Very scary scene, actually. And remember, you're seeing all this through her glasses, so it's first person. The 2 soldiers freak out. They leave. Leave her there. She's like cussing them out. They leave. She does manages to find the keys and get him out. And on the way to doing that, she runs across that street guy that she had seen several times. Yeah, he ended up in there because of course he did. And she talks to him. His name is David. She ends up talking to him and is like, what the hell, is going on? It turns out that David, he's the boy, the little boy that we see in that 72 footage. That's that 1972 film. That's his mother that came back. So, of course, he's laying on the floor freaking out about his mom coming back. And now here they all come again, So that was neat that the street guy you had seen during the film turned out to be the boy from the 1972 exorcism. That was pretty cool. So he at least knows his way around the city. So you have Kevin and Sarah and him take off trying to get to the gate. They do manage to get to the gate where they do find Rachel and Omar and those 2 soldiers and his dad and stuff like that. So David ends up getting shot because he won't back up from the gate, and the military is not letting anyone out. This causes a panic. So you have this little small group. They go and they hide in the cathedral. And there's some banter and stuff that goes on in there while the city is being overrun by these zombies. They don't know how to get out, where to go, and then it's like Omar's dad is like, but we could go into the cave system under the city, into the like sewer system and the cave system, and get out past the gates. So they're like, okay, well, we'll do that. And there's lots of cool scenes, like this Zed flies over them and drops a dead body on them, which was pretty cool. So there's a lot of jump scares and things like that, and they decide to try to get out through the caves. While they're down there, Rachel reveals, or, well, actually she doesn't reveal it, but Sarah It's like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep, and she like makes her turn around, and she's got these big scratches across her neck back here. And I'm like, oh no, she's infected. She's got it. So it is contagious like that. It's a regular zombie movie type thing, so with just this religious overtone element. So she decides, not to tell everyone. Sarah decides not to tell the other people. Kevin knows. And Kevin's like, we can't tell all of them. If we tell them that she's been scratched, they'll know she's going to turn, which she is going to turn, and kill her or something, right? So they don't tell her about her. Even when a soldier does notice that one of the two soldiers, he notices her behavior, and he's going to kill her. And Kevin's like in between them, and it's like, no, I'm not going to let you. And he's like, I will shoot you too. I will kill you as well. But right before he can do it, we get to see a big Zed land behind the soldier and attack. Kills one of the soldiers. So that was a pretty good scene. Now, let me not get lost here. He was killed by one of the Zeds. As they continue to go, the other soldier shoots at that Zed, and I think it kills it, but they run. Rachel continues to get sicker. Her eyes turn black, and she gets these little cool veiny things, and but they keep going. Rachel goes even more violent, turns and attacks them. That was a good scene. That was one of those scenes, though, where I was like, okay, hold on, let me readjust my eyes, because it was also quick. So then she tells Sarah to run. Like, I'm gone, so run. She does end up turning, fully turning into this winged zombie thing, but is shot by that other soldier. Now, in the meantime, her glasses have fallen. You're talking about a piece of electronic equipment here, right? So it's not wanting to work right, and it keeps doing all of these weird things. She finds a sword, because she had grabbed the sword in the cathedral before they got down into the caves. So she's in the dark, scared to death. She's by herself, and all of a sudden, Omar's dad runs into her, and she that sword goes right through his throat, up to the back of his head. And that was a total accident. She didn't mean to do that. Kevin then runs up, and Omar runs up. He starts trying to kill Sarah for doing that to his dad, right? So we only have Kevin, Omar, and Sarah left. Now, the scene is the tension has went through the roof, as it always does towards the end of a film. And we get to see a really disturbing scene where Omar is so upset about what had happened, so scared about what's going on, that he grabs the gun and he blows his brains out right there on, he tops himself, right on camera. And she didn't have time to look away, and neither do you. So, and since found footage movies are so quick, me telling you about it, you're still not going to be able to look away, because you're not going to know the exact second it happens, are you? So, he tops himself, and it's at this time that Sarah turns around and this Zed grabs her, right? And the smart glasses instantly do internet search worldwide, facial recognition. So it's zoomed in on this Zed, and it's looking at its face, and then down there in the corner, it pops up. It goes facial recognition successful, and then it pops up her brother's Facebook page and photo and and profile. So her brother came back, right? Okay, that's cool. So it doesn't hurt her, of course, and even you can see it in the Zed's eyes. It looks just like her brother's eyes. So that was a freaky scene. I did not see that coming, you know. And instead of hurting them, it turns around and like runs off. And so they follow it like, that's my brother and it's going to help us get out of here. And it kind of does. In that, you know, they manage to find the gate of the caves. But as Kevin's trying to get it open, she falls down and she realizes that one of the Zeds, either Rachel or maybe even her brother or whoever it was, well, I don't think her brother would have done it, but she's got this big long scratch down her leg. So she knows she's infected too. So they get out, they run out into the light and onto this side of this hill mountain thing next to the ocean. And then she starts making all these funny noises. Now you have to realize we're looking at Kevin because this is from her view. So, which was like a fascinating scene because you're not seeing her turn, you're hearing her turn, and you're watching Kevin as Kevin is watching her turn. So he is like standing there watching, and it's a really interesting scene to watch. And then when you can hear when she turns fully and the wings come out, and then you see the edge of the wings, you know, and you're looking at Kevin, watching it, you're seeing the edge of the wings at the corner of her peripheral vision of the glasses. And she starts to lift up. She's flying up. And you see her watching Kevin, watching her go up in the air. And then she turns her head up and looks around. And you see like thousands and thousands of creatures like her coming up from the city. And that's where the movie ends. So it's like the apocalypse has just begun. And you also see like military helicopters and flying through them. So it's like they're trying to kill them. That's what those bombs were at the beginning of the lockdown. That's what these helicopters flying over are doing, is shooting these things in the air, right? So maybe the government knew that this was possible. A lot of conspiracy stuff there. What that researcher had been talking about, that they knew this stuff was real, was going to happen at certain times. That's why the city got locked down. That's what those bombs were that started the lockdown. That's what these helicopters were doing, flying around through the end of the movie, through this apocalypse. So that was an excellent scene with all of the zombies flying up out of the city, and it ended. So yeah, definite 7 out of 10. Loved this movie. Really glad that I took the extra time it took me to find it for my collection. And that was Jerusalem. Zombie-based found footage film. Excellent. From 2015. And the Paz brothers. They both of them. The special features on here has interviews with them. They're young directors, obviously brothers, as they said. Doron and Yoav. But yeah, Jerusalem 2015, really great found footage film. And I will see you in the next one. Love you, miss you, bye-bye. Always remember, never forget, you're a very, very special person. Don't let anyone tell you different. Even if you are not a winged zombie, you're a special person. And I will see you in the next one. Keep rocking very, very hard. And keep screaming, but only when appropriate. Support indie horror and physical media. Love you. Miss you. Bye-bye.